Good evening, Raskin enjoyers. Happy to right, 'cause it's time for proper review. Last week we discussed the April 24, 2025 Rust Store, and that means today we're here to talk about the May 4 Swipe Rust Store, May 1st, 2025, the introduction of the jungle into Rust. We have the May 4 Swipe Rust rotation, where a lot of skins are accepted. So, what was my initial reaction? Well, before I even talk about the initial reaction, I've got to talk about the anticipation, because let me remind you, there was a lot of talk going on about, well, what we're seeing on staging. So, about 2 weeks before we had the May 4 swipe, Face Punch outright said on Twitter, hey, you're allowed to go on staging right now. We have all the brand new jungle content, and we intend to release it for May 4 swipe. And loads of people jumped in, gave it a good look, me included, and I just went ahead and showcased as much as I could in regards to green clothing and armor, deplorables like sleeping bags and whatnot, just to see how effective it was in the jungle foliage. Loads of people were really, really hyped up. So in anticipation, I was constantly keeping an eye out for all the new skins that are being submitted to the workshop. Tons and tons of green clothing and armor, tons and tons of deplorables, and lots of very cool weapons and tools and whatnot. So, in anticipation for this Rust rotation, of course, we had to question, like what was going to be nice investments for the week with all the skins. And of course later on we will talk about the abnormal barders. So let's hop back over to here. Let's talk about my initial reaction when I saw this Rust rotation. So, number one, that's a lot of skins. Wow. Number two, wow, these are selling quite a lot, aren't they? Yes. Initially, all of these skins were selling like hotcakes. A lot of people did turn up to take a look at this brand new jungle update. And with a lot of skins also being available in the Rust store, a lot of people noticed and a lot of people bought them. And it really started to become pretty easy to notice that, these skins are selling a little bit too excessively. Yep. I immediately noticed that there might probably be some issues in regards to, oversaturation. And we'll talk more about that in a bit, don't you worry. But, okay, fair enough. But come on now, looking at the actual skins, what was my thoughts? So I was actually very surprised to see some green clothing armor was accepted. That being Reptile Hunter Poncho and of course the bandana. Now, not tier 3, not tier 2, not hoodie and pants, no, primitive. Okay. And with that little tweet I just showed you a minute ago, where I was kind of showcasing like all those rugs with the clothing armor here, specifically look at the clothing armor. All of these tier 3 pieces, yeah, they could have been picked. There's like 6, 7 in total for green clothing armor that could have been picked for the Rust rotation. Black Alligator tier 3. Thank you, Face Punch. Thank you. So that was just a lovely little thing to remind all of you of Jungle Raiders and many other interesting sets that could have been accepted, but nope. Face Punch is averse to the idea of even accepting camouflage skins. So me making an emphasis in regards to Reptile Hunter being accepted, there's a point behind that. So, okay, fair enough. Another funny thing to bring up, 2 garage doors and 2 sheepner doors in the same Rust store. Don't we have a bit of a problem with garage door skins and their prices and whatnot? Yep. And sheepner doors? Yep. Okay. We know if they're selling a lot, clearly something's working, alright? If they want to get a lot of profit. So we'll talk more about that in a bit, of course. But overall, it was a very big Rust store. There was a lot of variety. There was some cool looking skins. I was satisfied. Lots of people were satisfied. But in terms of looking at these skins and trying to make a good idea of what potentially was going to be a very nice investment, well, if I could just quickly hop back over to here. So this is when I was doing the investments, I was questioning what was looking all right. You probably can't see it super great, but I can't remember fully, but I believe about 12 hours after Rust rotated, Jungle Ivy Rug already had like 20,000 plus subscribers. Yeah, I wasn't joking. These skins were selling a little bit too much. So overall, as I looked at everything and I made considerations, honestly, the safest option did look like Black Alligator tier 3. Now the reason for that is because, well, I could anticipate tier 2, hoodie and pants, some boots and gloves. Surely at some point in the future that could happen. So yeah, alright. We respect that. We obviously know how it is with core pieces. So as long as you see more in the future, things can work out quite nicely. Next, it was the Reptile Hunter Poncho. Not so much the bandana. We talked a lot about this, especially when we were doing showcases of the camouflage in the jungle. So again, if I could just quickly navigate you to this tweet, making an emphasis to showcase how effective Forest Raiders was and Reptile Hunter, as in the core pieces, and just a generic cheap $20 set of green clothing armor, it was very effective to hide yourself in the jungle. And I was under the assumption that is what a lot of people intended to do. The bandana has transparency. You could have just gone ahead and bought yourself a very cheap generic green bandana, or the forest camo bandana, which only cost about 20 to 30 cents, and that would have been 3 times cheaper compared to that bandana, and it would have covered all of your neck. If you have like a light-skinned, pigmented character, it was a problem in the jungle. If you didn't cover your neck, people would spot you. So that wasn't very helpful. Poncho was very nice though. However, it wasn't like we were desperate for a green poncho. There were definitely other options available. But to see that one appear was still very nice, very cool. So, okay, fine. It was interesting. I liked the poncho. I felt reasonably interested. But also, that was also selling quite a lot. It was becoming a bit of a concern. So, okay, poncho's looking a lot more reliable compared to the bandana. About all these other skins, well, it's starting to get very, very, very questionable. So much that I actually have to go back and remind myself. Was it the locker? It was the locker. So, locker looked awesome. This really did impress me. It was a very cool looking skin. Glows in the dark very brightly. Very cool mosaic design. The golden trim all around when the sun shines on it or any lighting gives off a very nice reflection. So, looks cool. Would it still work out nicely? We have had quite a few lockers already this year to this point. So, And then, of course, I did have to actually talk about the Jungle Ivy rug. It looked like it was going to follow the footsteps of the Kelp Rug, which came out 2 years before this. Now, if you need a little reminder, quite a long time back, Wildren made a video showcasing the Forest Camouflage net, a very useful, interesting, cool-looking rug. And basically, he hid this rug in the forest, but he covered his base. He used this to cover his base, and it was camouflage. It wasn't that good, but the fact that he showcased it, used it, had fun doing it, lots of people wanted to emulate him. The Wildren effect. So, that suddenly became very, very valuable. And 2 years later, we got another green rug, the Kelp Rug, being accepted. But the problem is that loads of people, upon seeing a brand new green rug skin being accepted, instantly assumed that was going to end up exactly like the Camouflage net rug, which at one point was selling for $20. So what happened was, this sold excessively, sold a ridiculous amount, and, well, if we could just quickly show you back to the past, as you can see here, it just went down, 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 down. Conveniently, or rather coincidentally, came out during the summer, and again, this is back in May time, I'm trying to make this connection. It kind of held for a while, but then it went down, 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 and reached a very low point of about 80 cents on the Steam market. I was under the impression, based on the amount of sales I was looking at with the Jungle Ivy, it was very likely going to equal to or surpass the amount of sales that the Kelp Rug did. And I just couldn't help but assume it was going to emulate its behaviour. However, as time went on, because there was demand for it, it was always there, it did eventually go up into the positive, about a year or two later. So, okay, Jungle Ivy's looking a little bit worrisome, but I should also point out another issue with the Kelp Rug was we just so happened to get another green rug being accepted sometime later that year. Few months later, Grass Rug appears, and then Woodrum does another video, like a sort of sequel video from that one, where he used the Grass Rug, not the Kelp Rug, the Grass Rug, to cover another base in the forest. And yeah, Kelp Rug, nobody loves you. Well, eventually people did. So, Jungle Ivy, were you going to emulate the steps towards disaster? Oversaturation is a problem. Loads of people happily buy a ton of skins, or tons of a skin, assuming it's just going to instantly go up in value. But if far too many people do that, they will flood the Steam market, they'll flood the third-party sites, prices will struggle, and yes, problems happen. So I warned people about that. I hope they learned and they didn't jump in and buy out a ton of them. Now let's talk about all the other skins. So with all the other skins, the deplorables, as I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, we already had like a ton of garage doors and they weren't doing very good. And the garage doors are also noticeably selling quite a little bit too much. I didn't have that much faith in the garage doors. Sheepman doors. We did have some cool designs. Nice glow-in-the-dark one here. One that blended in very nicely with the brand new jungle building skin. But even then, we have tons of sheepman doors. I didn't have that much faith in it. And in the weapons, sorry to say, but I didn't have much faith in them. Thompson, I had a little bit more faith in compared to the others. The LR300, I didn't really notice it too much, but that does have a transparent aim sight, which you can see right there. So, okay, fair enough, cool. But, yeah, we didn't make too much of a fuss about that. So, overall, certain skins were selling excessively, and it looks like they're going to sell a whole lot more. But not everything looked like it was going to work out perfectly fine. I was really trying my best to get it across to everybody that things might get a little bit too excessive, and it might lead to oversaturation and problems. So now, let's talk about the first 24 hours of sales. Jungle Ivy ended up with almost 27,000 subscribers after the first 24 hours of sales. Yep, that was looking like a big problem. It did sell more compared to Kelp Rug in the first 24 hours of sales. It looked like it was definitely going to surpass 50,000 subscribers. And I can even show you there, 50k subs maybe. It definitely looked like that was going to be the case. The Garage Door, 18,000 subscribers. The Reptile Hunter Poncho, just under 17,000 subscribers. The one skin I kind of had like pretty good thoughts about selling a little bit too much. And even like Black Alligator Tier 3, it wasn't selling as much, but it was still selling quite a lot. Like overall, the average amount of sales on these skins, pretty high. Definitely the highest this year. So, okay, cool. Should we now talk about the abnormal barders? Now, I can probably give you a little bit more insight in regards to the Jungle Ivy Rug, because you know how I talked about how in the past William showcased using certain skins and suddenly everybody wants to copy him? He bought a Jungle Ivy Rug and he showcased it in a video which he put out during the week whilst this Rust was still out. Yep, that didn't help. So, yes. On Wednesday night, I'm looking at all the skins here. Jungle Ivy Rug had 51,454 subscribers. That's the bare minimum amount of sales. That is, 51,454 individual people have bought the skin. We just didn't know specifically how much they bought each. But we do know subscribers, that's the bare minimum, that's the individuals that have bought the skin. So some people only want to buy one skin for themselves. Cool. Some people might want to buy an extra one. Maybe they gift it to someone or sell another one. There's a little bit of profit, perhaps. There's also people that like to buy 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, and even 1,000. And I just couldn't help but assume a lot of people did buy extra, assuming it was just going to be easy money. Well, we'll be talking about that, won't we? So, yes, Jungle Ivy Rug was looking to be a bit questionable, and the sales of all these other skins was also looking to be a bit questionable. Oversaturation did look like it was going to happen. Let's talk about the prices we suggested. Jungle Ivy Rug. It was emulating the behaviour of the Kelp Rug. And I looked at it, and I questioned it, and I thought, you know what? Okay, fair enough. Maybe it emulates it exactly. Kelp Rug went all the way down to about 80 cents at its lowest. And then from there, gradually, it slowly went back up in price, and it did eventually become profitable. There was demand for it. There is demand for the Jungle Ivy Rug. It's just initially there's going to be far too many of them listed on the Steam market. It's not the first time we've seen something like this, and from experience, and based on, comparing to the likes of the Kelp Rug, I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll just basically put around the same price that we saw with the Kelp Rug reaching its lowest point. I decided to do 80 cents to $1.20, but I definitely know this is going to be more of a long-term thing. I don't expect to buy any Jungle Ivy Rugs until around October time. For you see, September, October, November, that's the autumn fall seasonal dip. That is where we tend to see a lot of kids go back to school after their summer vacation, wherever they are in the world, mostly the Western world. And in short, basically, when there's less people playing the game, there's less demand to buy skins, and there's lower skin prices. What you also tend to see is a lot of skins getting thrown on the Steam market because people will be like, you know what, if I'm not playing as much, I'll just chuck all my skins in the Steam market, and when I come back again, I'll just buy them back again. So when there's far too many sales, or rather, there's far too many people trying to make a sale compared to actual genuine people wanting to buy skins, it adds up more stock on the Steam market and third-party sites. Prices keep going down, 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 down. This is where we tend to see some very low points of the year. A lot of skins, a lot of Rust skins will reach their lowest price for the year at some point around October, because that usually is where the lowest points tend to happen. I've made many videos talking about this in the past, including last year. So if you're watching this right now, keep a note of that, because if you happen to have quite a lot of funds around then, October 2025, great time to buy in because they're all at their cheapest price. So yes, long-term approach, 80 cents to 1 to the 20. Looking at all the other skins, Reptile Hunter Poncho, a $2 skin. I thought about it, I questioned it. It was the cheapest poncho, the green poncho, cheapest green poncho, just to clarify. But as I said, there were other options. But I do believe, I felt confident of the possibility of seeing a collection continuation. Hide boots, leather gloves, maybe something else, we'll see. I was hoping for that. I questioned it a lot, but I went with $1 to $1.50. I thought, I don't see it going down super terribly bad, but I got offer a lower price. So, okay, fair enough. Jungle King Garage Door, should have said that before the poncho, but anyway. Jungle King Garage Door, cool looking design, blends quite nicely with the Jungle Building skin, but with the amount of sales it had, 70 cents to $1. I just couldn't help but assume it's going to crash and burn. And with the amount of garage doors we had accepted up to this point, yeah, no, it was getting a bit silly. So, yeah. Then, of course, we have the Neon Jungle Garage Door, the other garage door. Very cool neon design. It looked nice, but again, I just questioned it, thought about it. 60 cents to 80 cents for a much higher price skin. I thought that's probably going to crash and burn faster. Didn't sell as much compared to the Jungle King, but still, I have seen some interesting neon garage doors in the past made specifically for an update, namely the bike update back in the summer of 2024. We had a very cool bike neon garage door. After everything was all said and done, we never saw any more bike-themed skins being accepted. That garage door went from $3 to less than $1. So yeah, I was hesitant. Jungle Guardian Door, sheepman door, 60 cents to 80 cents. Had no faith in sheepman doors. And then we had the Black Alligator Tier 3. $2 each. I was anticipating more. Again, new core pieces. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's at there around 20,000 subscribers. It looked like it was going to be the other blackout alternative of the year, coinciding with what the tyre collection. So I thought, yeah, 80 cents to 120. That should be quite all right. Tier 2, hoodie pants, boots and gloves at some point in the future. All right, yeah, all right. I expect it. Then we had Jungle Locker, very cool looking design, but 80 cents to $1.20. It was a $2.49 skin, but the amount of lockers we had up to this year, yeah, bit unsure. Azure Snake LR300, cool design. It had the transparency, but I didn't really make that much of a fuss about it. So yeah, that was my mistake. The LR300s, the weapon itself, they tend to be not very beloved. So the skins don't really work out very nicely. So I went with 60 cents to 80 cents. Now for the regular skins, the skins that they weren't abnormal. I looked at the Reptile Hunter bandana, 50 cents to 60 cents. Transparent design was not helping it out. I honestly did think a lot of people just prefer to use the standard forest camo and green bandana. Aztec Jungle Door, that was the non-abnormal skin. Yep. That was the one that didn't glow but blended in very nicely with the jungle building skin. I questioned it, I thought about it, but I thought it was still inevitably going to go down in price. 50 cents to 70 cents. Croc Thompson, perfectly fine, silly design for a Thompson, but 80 cents to $1.20. Not down to 60 cents to 80 cents. Thompsons tend to perform a bit better compared to other weapon skins. But for that one, after it sold quite a fair bit, 80 cents to $1.20. Jungle Predator SAR, perfectly fine, but SAR skins up to this point weren't doing super great. 60 cents to 80 cents. And Crocodile Bow skin's kind of similar, so 60 cents to 80 cents. Right then, so I kind of walked into this unsure. I kind of walked into this hesitantly, and with the initial sales I could clearly see what was likely going to happen, and it happened. Oversaturation. What was the outcome? Jungle Ivy was bought far too much. Jungle Ivy is down in price. Not down super bad, but we're still in the summer at the moment, aren't we? So, this has just been declining, and it hasn't been having the most of fun times now. Now, it's not down super bad. Nebadas are still there. It's just, it doesn't look like it's going to hold up forever. I personally anticipated it was going to end up at around $1. I thought it was going to end up like the Kelp Rug. We're not going to see the worst of it until, as I said, the autumn-fall seasonal dip. September, October, November. In its current state, it's basically similar to how the Kelp Rug initially held its value, but I do expect more listings eventually, and I do expect it to drop off. So this is how it is. Initially, it was doing quite all right, and then now it's just kind of stagnant. Now, we do have quite a lot of people playing at the moment. Not a ridiculous amount, but we are expecting more as we approach July. But I don't expect it to be rising up in price, and I do not expect it to be holding that value forever. I do still anticipate it'll drop off down to around $1 at some point around October time. Keep an eye on it. That very likely will be its lowest ever point, and from then on, could be a very nice, interesting thing to pick up as a long-term investment. Because again, the demand is there. It's just there's too much of it on the Steam market at the moment. Now, one thing you should be aware of on SCMM, if you click the actual pictures, you'll see the listings on third-party sites. 39 on Skinport, 11 on D-Market, 1 on Squidspot. To be honest with you, that's not too bad. I've seen worse. But you very likely will see worse around September, October, November. So, yeah, just point it out. All right then, cool. Should we now talk about, because we should keep things in order, and just to point out, all these skins are a bit jumbled up. SCMM has had some issues recently, so I should talk about the Jungle King Garage Door next. Yeah, that went down to $1.30. Just went down in price very quickly. Because, funnily enough, in May, nearly every single week we had, which was 5 Rust doors, 4 of them had garage doors in their Rust doors. And, of course, we had the multiple garage doors in this Rust door, so 5 garage doors in Rust doors in May, and then 2 Twitch drops. 7 garage doors in a single month. Cool. So that didn't help it out, and all the other garage doors suffered. So my suggestion with the 70 cent to $1 buy order does seem to have worked out nicely. I have picked up a few of these. I did remove my buy order because I got a little bit too worried that I thought it was going to drop down a lot faster. As we approach the autumn-fall season, I do expect that to happen. But yeah, it did crash and burn. It hasn't been super bad, but it probably still will go down worse. Cool design, it's just, yeah. Sold a lot though. Skin Creator's still happy, but in terms of, is that ever going to improve? Garage doors this year. It's been a fun time. It's been a fun time. But yeah, the amount that have been accepted already in 2025, bit maddening, and we do reckon we are on track to surpass the amount that we got accepted or introduced last year. 34 in total in 2024. We're just about halfway, and we've already got 20, so cool. Not cool for those investments. Big problem. So, okay, fair enough. Understood. Reptile Hunter Poncho. So I did, differentiate the poncho compared to the bandana. That poncho, it's doing alright at the moment. It's doing pretty okay. One thing I didn't mention, because I felt like it's better off to say it now. You know how I said that Wildrum used the rug in a video whilst the skins were still in the store? Poncho as well. He did use the poncho, I believe. And that, well, again, it's not like this was the only green poncho that we have. And technically right now, I do believe it's still the cheapest. We do have the other C one. I think that might be cheaper now. But anyway, for what it is, a nice dark green design. There are some other skins we can pair up with it and whatnot. It's not too bad here. But eventually, I do believe it will probably drop down a price around October time. My $1 to $1.50 buy order. You might sit there and say, oh, Hedge, you failed. No, I haven't succeeded yet. Long term. Now, I did think I was going to pick some up eventually by now, to be honest with you, being brutally honest with you, so you can laugh at me now, but I do believe I will eventually pick some up with my buy order. And now I sit here and ask you, did you buy some? I did buy a pair of the bandana and the poncho for myself, but I didn't buy any as an investment. This did quite alright initially. It did go up to about $3.50, and you can see right now it actually has been buzzing a little bit. It did go down pretty bad, but it's just kind of been sticking around $2 basically. But yeah, initially it did go up to about $3.50, but it didn't last for very long. And yeah, so it is what it is. So have you picked up any other barter that you put down? Feel free to comment below. And are you feeling optimistic for the future of this? If we did get those continuations, it would have been lovely, but we never saw them, did we? So if I could just quickly go over to here and quickly point this out. There was more Reptile Hunter skins. It's just, yeah, we just never saw them. So, yep, leather gloves, boots, hide boots, just to clarify. It's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? So, yeah. Long term, though, we'll see how it goes. It's just, will we ever get to see any more Reptile Hunter skins being accepted? Face Punch seems very, very averse to accepting camouflage skins. Green stuff? Well, clothing and armor at the very least, so, okay. Then we, of course, had the Neon Jungle Rule Garage Door. Yep, you're down to $1.50. So I actually thought this was going to perform a fair bit worse. It's doing better, but, like, it could drop off still. And, of course, long term, you could eventually see this drop down much worse around October time. Fair enough. But, Hedge, are you honestly going to say that excuse for the whole video? My builder hasn't successfully picked up a bunch of these. I've bought a few. I did 60 cents to 80 cents. I've bought a few at most. I could flip them right now, yeah, I could. But maybe I'll wait until July at the very least, because I do believe we're going to see a lot more people probably turn up for the July 4th swipe. And yeah, kids will be out of school, summer vacations in parts of this world. It's probably for the best. So, okay, fair enough. Have you picked up any of your builders, or did you make any purchases? Feel free to comment below. But yeah, that did drop off. But it's not as bad compared to the other garage door. But it still went down, so yeah. Okay, fair enough. Now, looking at the Black Alligator Tier 3, you'll see that it is down in price at the moment, but weird things happened. So this actually did work out very nicely initially. We did get Tier 2. But here's the problem. Tier 2, that sold quite a fair bit less compared to the Tier 3. See, the Tier 3 did just over 22,000 subscribers each for both pieces. But when the Tier 2 appeared, yes, they did spike in price. They did work out quite nicely initially, but once it was all said and done, the Tier 2 sold about 10,000 less subscribers compared to the Tier 3. And it basically looks like an Abyss clothing armor collection issue. What's that? So the Tier 3 came out first, sold quite a lot because it came out in a very busy rush store and a lot of people playing. But the Tier 2 came out later on when there was less people about and sold less overall. And if we see the hoodie and pants come out at some point in the future during a very similar time period where there's not that many people playing, the hoodie and pants and the Tier 2 very likely will end up with maybe around like 12,000 subscribers each. They will probably work out nicely so as long as the whole collection remains fairly in demand. But the Tier 3 will suffer because there's far too much of it compared to Tier 2 and Tier 3. So if you ever need to kind of understand that, go look up the Abyss collection. You'll see this for yourself. Because you'll see that Tier 3 came out first. And the other pieces came out like a good few months after. Tier 3 down real bad. Tier 2, hoodie and pants, they're doing alright. Because, of course, 14,000 subscribers for these two. Tier 2 did around, 14 to 16,000 subscribers. But the Tier 3 did just over or just around 27,000 subscribers. About 10,000 more. There's a lot more of these in excess and circulation. Yeah. So, in theory, if I wanted a full collection of Abyss, I could probably only have up to about 14,000 absolute, complete collections. But there'll still be a lot more of those Tier 3 pieces out in circulation. So, I'm sure you get the idea by now. So, yeah. Black Alligator, it did initially have a nice spike in demand, spike in price. But as you can see, it had problems. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So, yeah, it didn't last forever. I was right to anticipate continuations, but I did not realise, I couldn't have been able to tell that Tier 3 it was going to sell too much compared to the other pieces. Now, we still have the potential of hoodie and pants and boots and gloves, if Face Punch wants to actually continue this set, because it's in a bit of a weird situation. We've got Tire Collection, Black Alligator, and some other collections. They're all needing maybe one more piece, or just a little bit more. But then they keep adding more newer collections. It's a bit odd. It's a bit strange. I think Black Alligator Tier 3 is going to probably drop off a bit more now. So initially, I did pick up a bunch of these with a buy order, but with the prices going down, I kind of ran away. So yeah, I removed the buy order. That was a smart thing to do because with where it is at the moment, yeah. And my $1 buy order, yeah, because I actually did $1 and $1.30-ish because currency changes. Yeah, no, I've removed all of it. I just don't trust it anymore. Right then, so Jungle Guardian Door said 60 cents to 80 cents. Lo and behold, it's sitting here at just under $1 at the moment. So that buy order would have been a perfect shout. And yeah, did you manage to pick up any? I have bought a few, but I removed the buy order. So only going down. Far too many shooting doors in existence. There was attempts for collection continuations, but it just didn't happen, unfortunately. So just to quickly confirm, we had a very cool looking garage door, Sheet metal double door, but no acceptance. Sadness. And I don't think we'll see another attempt for a while because the skin creators have other collections that have been successful. So, good. Yep. Aztec Jungle Door. Yep, you're not doing very good at the moment now, but initially it did do quite alright. This was actually in the positive for quite some time, but now it's dropped off. Now it's started to go down. So, yep, see that? And then, so, yeah, it was doing quite alright then. So, inevitably, it dropped off. It went down a price. Sad to see, but not too surprising, is it? No. Alright, well. I suggested, 60 cents to 80 cents for that? I think eventually I'll be picking up a few of those. But to be honest with you, I might remove the bar order. That's something I had to question. Did you pick up any for yourself? And have you bought any with a bar order? Feel free to comment below. Jungle Locker. This right here, this actually worked out quite nicely initially. This was in the positive. This was doing okay. And then suddenly it doesn't. So, yeah, it was doing quite alright for a good, couple of weeks. And then it drops off. Don't know what happened. Not really. I can't remember. Did we get another locker accepted? Let's just quickly go remind myself. And the answer is... Well, we did get that. But that kind of came out somewhat recently. It did drop off before all of that. So, yeah, it's not down super bad, but it's not doing good. I would have thought during the summer it would improve. Maybe it does as we approach, July. Fingers crossed. But it's not down super bad. Now my price suggestion was 80 cents to $1.20. Maybe eventually. It's not too busy over here, but will you succeed ever, Hedge? Will you succeed? We'll see. Actually, no, currency conversions. I'm actually there. I'm the 40. Haven't picked up any yet, but give it time. Maybe October. Might buy some, but yeah, I was a bit too low there, so wasn't fully correct. Oh dear, oh dear. The weapons I didn't have that much faith in, so I said, 80 cents to $1.20 for this one? As you can see, it's actually doing quite alright. But, yeah, it did drop off. It's currently at $1.35. It will update itself in a second. There you go. My price suggestion would have been correct, but I did remove my bar order eventually because it did drop off a fair bit. That did 17,000 subscribers, which is quite a lot for a Thompson, and it didn't stay in demand, and it did drop off. And it's not that bad, because there's only 32 listings, and it's very thin here, but the demand isn't there. The price still keeps going down, so... awkward, but unfortunate, yeah. Azure Snake LR300, well, it does have the transparent aim sight. We've been seeing a lot of that recently, haven't we? But it still went down in price. I get the feeling not everybody is fully well aware that it has a transparent aim sight. But I've got to say, it's not down super bad. It's only down by about 80 cents. Compared to most LR300s, that's actually doing very good for itself. But I do believe someone must have said something, because look at that. It just randomly goes, and it goes down again. Yeah, it wasn't doing very good. That was down to about 80 cents at one point. But yeah, look at that. Random buyout. I don't know who was that, but he must have been trying to convince other people, hey, it's good. But no, people don't care. People don't care about LR300. So... they probably might want to see a Heatseeker skin, perhaps. But unfortunately, no. And just to reiterate my point, take a look at all the LR300 skins. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they're not doing good. The weapon itself. If it doesn't get enough usage, where's the demand? Where's the actual justification to own a skin? There you go. Right then. So then there's the SAR, 92 cents. There's the bow, $1.12. Fortunate, but not too surprising. So yeah, that's dropped off. The 60 cent to 80 cent bar there would have been okay. Could you even make that much of a profit? Yeah. I think I did a lowball buy order and I don't think I've actually picked up any. I think I'm there. Oh dear. Yeah. Maybe I went a bit too low. But if I can recall, I did one buy order in the end. And then we had the bow here. Yeah, that did drop off. It's not down super bad. It's still basically just barely over $1. But way worse, let's just quickly find that out. So if I could go over to here. It's not been too bad. It's basically stayed around $1, so that's nice to see. And a 60 cent to 80 cent bar, I probably would have picked up some. I believe I am here. But again, because someone was slightly above me, and I wasn't the fastest, I think they've beaten me to it. So, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So, overall, oversaturation was a problem. As you can see right now, there's literally only one skin currently in the positive. It was all in demand, but a lot of people thought there was going to be easy money. So a lot of purchases happened. Some people very likely tried to do some quick flips, and based on some of the skins, they did initially do quite alright. But inevitably, they all suffered. So, Could they go even worse? Of course they can. Because the other moral of the story is, keep an eye out around September, October, November time, because skins that are sold ridiculous amounts very likely have tons of listings at some point during those months. Cool. But of course, keep an eye out. You could potentially pick up these skins for a much cheaper price. Right then, cool. So that was the jungle update. Didn't exactly get the green clothing armour we oh so desperately wanted. But it was still a nice Rustor. Clearly people did buy these because they wanted them. It's just, it did get a bit wild, a bit crazy. So let's do a little preview for the next week. May 8 Rustor. We had a very big Rustor for the Force Wipe. The very next week, it was a lot calmer. It was a lot more interesting, perhaps. That's a very strange looking AK-47 right there. Oh, surely it won't work out right. Like most AKs, it does have a pretty cool, unique, interesting colour scheme and a very strange looking aim sight. And a green sleeping bag, huh? Actually, that might be pretty good in the jungle and the forest. And then across the board, some other cool looking skins. So maybe next week will be a lot faster because there's not that many skins to talk about. 36 minutes. We did talk about quite a lot though. So feel free to comment below your thoughts in regards to the May 1st Rustor and what you expect of it in the future. Feel free to talk about anything you've picked up with a barge or a purchase. And that's that. So thank you very much for watching me. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see if we can actually make some profits out of all these skins. But maybe we have to wait until at some point later this summer or maybe even January 2026. We shall see. So, gotta look forward to post-Christmas, I guess. Right. All good. Catch you later. Sing bye.